What I'm going to do is take it from where Joe left off and take you through some activities, how to list them, and then proceed. But before I get started there, let me talk about what Joe ended with here. You saw that there was a mistake made. Mistakes will happen all the time. Don't panic, because you can easily erase the mistake. The other part is that after you've erased it, it saves it. You can then bring it back if you erase something that you didn't want to erase. So there's a lot of great things in this tool that Taskstream has, and very easy to work with. Let me go ahead and get into my area. In the physical education department, where we started was at the program level. So if you notice, we have program outcomes and assessments and action plans here. Our approach was to start here to develop a curriculum map. Since everyone has their program mission statement, I'm just going to show you those real quickly. Everybody that's been populated shouldn't be a problem for anybody to look at. In our department, what we said, there has to be a meeting in order to change it, but you can change that simply by checking out, make changes that you'd like to, and check back in. At the program outcomes level, it looks exactly like what you saw with Joe. We haven't put in yet our general education requirements, but we have physical education SLOs that are mapped already to institutional learning outcomes. If we wanted to continue simply what we did before, we would check out, go down here to the mapping where it says here. You can check what it says here. We can remove the mapping, we can put it back on. We can create new mapping. By creating new mapping, these are the ones that are already in our set. We can add others simply by going here, goal sets distributed to physical education, go, and there you see the general education requirements that Joe was just mentioning a few moments ago. Click on that, and we can go ahead and do anything we need to do at that stage. And here again, you see the same ones we had before, from the natural sciences, social and behavioral science, humanities, and language, and we can then click and add those very simply. The one thing we want to make sure that we do is to check in whenever you've finished. When I first started working with this, I never made comments. I found out that was a huge mistake. So as you're working through this, whatever comment you make is going to be very, very helpful. Brief, that's fine. Just keep on working, and you'll be able to go back and read what you've done and what you still need to do. And then what we've decided in our curriculum map is to actually create several different maps. These are the various areas that we serve: athletics, fitness certification, physical education activity classes, and physical education theory classes. We sat down, and I'm going to go ahead and just click on one of these maps for you. We sat down and put in every single class that was taught and determined whether or not the student learning outcomes that we have populated were being met by that particular subject. So for example, intercollegiate badminton, we have 3 outcomes, and it's met all 3 outcomes. At any time that you need to read what those outcomes are, you're capable of doing that simply by going into checking out, edit map, and down here you see it says show goal description, show course activities. You can click on there and then add the actual verbiage if you'd like to. If you need to add a class, it's very simply to do that. Let's say we had a 199 class that we wanted to add. There's a triangle that's right here. You click on that triangle. There it is. And that comes up. We can add our activity, give it a title, identification number, description, and go ahead and put in whatever we wanted to do at that stage. So let's just make some quick numbers here. And this will appear. Whatever description you want. Create. And that comes right here for us to work with. If you've made a mistake, go to the X, deletes it, and you're fine, back to where you were. So to maneuver with the system is very, very simple. Anytime you finish work, save now. It'll save it and get out of it. And always make sure whatever you do after you finished your work, you check in. All right, so it gives you an idea where we are and what we've done. Let's take a look at physical education activity classes. Briefly, you can see the same thing. And here we have listed all of our classes that we teach. But notice on this one, not all of them are checked. Sometimes there's a blank in the area. Sometimes a class doesn't meet all 3 student learning outcomes. Sometimes you're only going to meet 1 or 2. But what we're saying is by the time we're finished, all of the student learning outcomes will have been met. And so you'll see a number of classes where that might not be a case. Many classes you're going to find all 3. And remember again to check in when you finished your work. Then we went to another level. So we've already gone to one level where we've done mapping, taken all of our courses, and figured out how each individual course, which one of those they were student learning outcomes they were meeting. We went back and we took a look at how our department goals align themselves with institutional goals. We also have to do that, of course, to general education outcomes as well. So all those are going to be finished. Now take a look at an individual class. We'll pull up Basketball 112. Again, we have the same thing on the standing requirements, your mission statement, student learning outcomes, and curriculum map. Mission statement is the same mission statement that you had before. Student learning outcomes, here we've gone a little bit further. You can see we've gone ahead and created our map here, taking our department learning outcomes, mapping them to general education and to institutional learning outcomes. And then the curriculum map for this class gives us some actual activities. So you can see in Basketball 112, we have drills, exams, class participation, skills test, meeting certain requirements, okay? And whenever one of the particular student learning outcomes is being met, all you simply do is put a check mark in its place. That's how we're handling it. So for example, here I don't have number 3 checked, but if I wanted to go ahead and decided, oh yes, the 3rd outcome is being met by that activity, I go to check out, edit map, and then you can see all I have to do is put a little check mark right there, and now it'll appear in my curriculum map. The key is to get to the stage where you're getting all these activities that you're doing listed. Once you've done the map and completed it, what you're actually going to assess is one of those activities. And whatever activity you pick will assess one of your learning outcomes, and that will be our next presentation to you, how we do that. Again, I'm going to click off that because that's not one that we want, but save now when you finish, click out, and remember to check in. So basically what we've done in physical education department is we started with the program outcomes. We mapped the program outcomes to institutional learning outcomes and then to general education outcomes. When we finished that, we listed all of our classes, put them in individual maps, and again, we went back to the student learning outcomes and matched them or mapped them to the appropriate classroom experience. The next step is to go to the individual course. Once you've got there, you go ahead and map the individual activities to the student learning outcomes that you've already been propagated to your particular websites. So it's that simple. And the hard part will be the next step, which is going to be the actual assessment. But it's important that we get started on this and get our mapping completed ASAP. But hopefully by the end of the semester, we will be well on our way to completing mapping in all departments. Okay? Salou is going to take it a little bit further, and then we'll be around to actually do some hands-on work.
Actually.